Hello viewer, the Nameless Scholar here, and I am back! So, the Primaris Marines. What can there be said about them that hasn't already been said? Many people before me have talked about them, and I guess with the recent rumors, it is time for me to talk about the Primaris Marines. Well, are the Primaris being slowly erased, or are they here to stay? The answer, like the one to my previous video, it's complicated. Now, I should probably start with what I think of the Primaris Marines. Honestly, I'm not a fan. Just not for the reasons you think. Sure, I think Phobos armor is ugly and the lore stupid. The lore can be fixed, which is what these videos are implying, is what could be happening in the background. But, how true is this? To understand that, I'm going to give you my whole thoughts on it to pad out the video, and to give further context. I don't think it would be as long as my last video, though. We need to start from all the way back in 2015, when Games Workshop had used Warhammer Fantasy as a sacrificial lamb with the End Times. The first edition of Age of Sigmar is released, and it is greeted with overwhelmingly negative feedback. Fast forward to the tail end of 2016 and start to mid-2017, it is the 7th edition of Warhammer 40k. The Wrath of Magnus has happened, and so is the Gathering Storm. Then, Cadia fell. After 13 Black Crusades, the perpetual failure that has abandoned the despoiler finally did it. After that, the Primaris Marines were introduced, and Robute Guilliman was resurrected by the Inari, which was nothing more than a plot device to resurrect Robute Guilliman. For the longest time, the Primaris were marketed as better Space Marines. People and I thought them to be true-scale Marines, then repurposed to have a gimmick. But here's the real reason why I dislike the Primaris. I don't think they were meant to be initially true-scale Marines. I think they were meant to be a full-on replacement of the Firstborn. The reason why I think that is because of this video. The Primaris were essentially meant to be sci-fi Stormcast Eternals. Think about it. Durable units with 2 wounds that all have very over-specialized roles? Especially with the rules reset of 40k with 8th edition that turned the game into watered-down Age of Sigmar. So, that is why. Because they couldn't axe 40k like they did with Fantasy, they just couldn't straight up replace the Firstborn. This has to do with how much of an oversaturated mess the Primaris are, where if they are not in Gravis or Phobos armor, it's hard to tell which combat patrols have which units, especially if you're not a Space Marine player. With the rumors of a new Firstborn kit being released, and looking at the Stern Guard as well as the new Vitrix Guard, Catus Carius, and even Marnius Kelgar, some people have speculated that with the removal of the Primaris keyword, GW will be slowly erasing them and essentially have them as Firstborn in Mark 10 armor. However, I don't believe this for a bit. With Games Workshop, hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. The Primaris, they are here to stay. Here's why. Let me tell you what's more likely to happen. Horus Heresy is too profitable for a game to drop, even if the series ended with the end and the death. So that's why they started the Scouring series. Horus Heresy has always been a premium hobby, even after Forge World was gone. Warhammer the Old World is also a premium hobby. So what is more likely to happen is this. They are going to release new Mark 7 armor models to the Horus Heresy. However, do not forget what happened with the release of 3.0. Games Workshop, in the span of the 3-year cycle, will do the exact same thing to the Horus Heresy as they did with 40k in 8th edition. They will remove customization. So the Firstborn will be back in Horus Heresy with Mark 7, but by the time they are, the enshittification will be halfway to fully complete. And if they are going to continue with the Scouring, as well as also going to, according to rumor, also start adding Xenos fully, within 9 years, expect the War of the Beast game. Yeah, that doesn't sound very appealing now, does it? But what about the Primaris themselves? From GW's actions in the past, I see one of two possibilities. They are going to stay the exact same way they are, or they will receive exactly what the Stormcast Eternals received when Age of Sigmar 4th edition was announced. Some Stormcast models were reworked, and half of their range were removed, so expect quote-unquote intercessors that look like a hybrid of the old Mark 7 and 8 as well as 10, alongside half of the Primaris range being eliminated. But why? Why did Games Workshop has gone through such an elaborate scheme? Well, the reason I believe is this. Stratagems in 8th and 9th were the way they were because they purposefully bloated the game on purpose in a long-term attempt to completely remove war gear as much as humanly possible, so they can essentially sell more of their overly designed tactical rock, including kits. 10th edition was the realization of this, and with this, it is only another way to further remove war gear from the game. All for their actual agenda of turning Warhammer 40k into Age of Sigmar in space, as I have explained in this video. So expect either the Primaris staying the way they are, or the Primaris receiving the Stormcast Eternals treatment, and they get Thanos'd. So if the former happens, it's going to be bad for the Primaris haters. If the latter happens, it's going to be bad for both the Primaris haters and the Primaris fans. So, anyways guys, this is going to be it for this video. And I know that I am right.